Hey folks, I want to continue to work through Romans with you. We're still in chapter 7, and what Paul's talking about here is something I think we can all relate to. Certainly I can. He's talking about he finds that he's doing things he doesn't really want to do. He's doing things that he knows are wrong. And if you're like me, you can certainly relate to that. If you look at verse 20 there, he says, "Now if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me." So remember, as we talked about earlier, our old self was crucified with Christ. We died with Christ, and we have been reborn with the Spirit. And it is no longer us that lives, but Christ in us. Yet, we are still encased in this flesh which is cursed and prone to sin. And this is what Paul is talking about. It is no longer us that does it, but sin that dwells in us, that dwells in this flesh. And he goes on in verses 21 through 23. He says, "So I find it to be a law that when I want to do right, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inner being, but I see in my members another law waging war against the law of my mind and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members." He's talking about sanctification here. When we are reborn, we do not cease to sin. In fact, when we are reborn, that's when the battle begins. That's when we go to war against the flesh, and uh, we face sins, we battle sins, we overcome sins, and we grow and we mature, and then we face different sins, and we battle those and we overcome those, and we continue to grow and mature. This is the process we're all going through as we're moving closer and closer to Christ. So don't lose heart if you're struggling with sin. Paul himself was, and that's what he was talking about here in Romans chapter 7.